What's up, clickbait? We are back with another bomb-ass episode, if I do say so myself. We have lots to talk about today. We have, well, Bachelor Nation breakdowns. We have some rumors to dispel today. So we're going to go ahead and get on that in our Bachelor Nation breakdown. But also, we have some very interesting clickbait. Shading our exes. Joe, have you ever shaded an ex before?
I have never shaded an ex publicly, so.
Oh, great. So we just have a lot to talk about with that. And then we have Mari coming on the scene today. Mari has been a hot little topic in Bachelor in Paradise. So we're just going to break it all down for everybody. You guys ready to go?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Okay. So let's just get started with something that has just been released. Michelle looks stunning in the first sneak peek of her season of The Bachelorette. You guys, when I tell you that this woman is jaw-dropping and really has it all, I'm speaking firsthand, okay? Yeah. And you saw it even in the video. Yeah. Like, how insane was that promo?
I thought her promo, it's very elegant. She looks beautiful. I loved her. She was dribbling a basketball, right? I saw that.
Yep. And she shot, and she made it.
Her dress
in a diamond hoop, basketball hoop.
She's dribbling a basketball in probably a $5,000 dress, which I respect. She looks beautiful, and I think, I said, I thought during that season that Michelle should have been the Bachelorette.
Yep.
And here she is. So, I'm very excited to watch.
Yeah, I am too. I think she looked really great. I also love that her promo seemed very much her. You know, it was like the dazzling, but also it was the basketball and it was all of that. So I love that.
The teacher concept.
Yeah. Oh, and the apple. Honey, an apple a day. Keep the fuckboys away.
Oh.
Yes.
You heard it here first.
You're smiling about it, Tayshia, though. So what could you tell us? Tell us anything?
Well, I think it's very much so Michelle. Michelle has beauty. She has brains. She is very athletic. She plays better basketball than Joe ever can, and she's in 5-inch heels. You know what I mean?
Unnecessary shot at me, but okay. Take it.
But I just think that this is just a well-rounded woman, and I think that obviously she has so much to offer, and I cannot wait for you guys to see her season. Can't really tell much, but it's definitely going to be one to watch.
Yeah, I actually don't want to know. I don't want to know spoilers because I'm
not going to tell you anything.
I'm so invested. I'm so ready for her season to start and ours to be over.
Well, I know on her season though, like she had. Like in the credits, they would show like her sense of humor, and she would like do push-ups, and you could tell she was funny.
Yes.
I'm hoping that comes across during her season.
Yes, that we see that.
Which I would think it would.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can. Also her infamous, the way that we were talking about shading exes, the way that she shaded Mac James at AFR, but in a cute way though, or find something else other. What did she say? Find something else other to say than I appreciate that, or I thank you for that, or whatever she said. It was just a little jab, and it was really cute. It was really cute. I can't wait for those little jabs.
Yeah, no, I thought it was just really well done. I thought it was a really cute promo. I don't know. I think it's definitely starting this season off on a very high note. And I can't wait for it to get started. Let's just move on to another huge Bachelor Nation topic. Wells Adams and other Paradise cast defend Marissa against slut shaming. Yeah. So if you guys haven't watched this past episode of Paradise, essentially, Marissa was once talking to Connor, and now she is talking to Riley, in which they decide to actually go to the boom boom room after their first date.
Yeah.
Which is not really a concept we really see often. I guess it's more so towards the end of Paradise. But at the same time, who are we to judge, right?
Here's the thing. They're both grown adults. If they want to be intimate after the first date, who are we to judge?
That's what I'm
Go
saying.
have fun, have sex, put on Pony, listen to it, write it. I mean, also, like
the most interesting thing about this too was like that she was getting all the heat and Riley wasn't, right? And so that's where that double standard always comes from, where it's like it's totally fine that he decided to consent to this, but how could she do such a thing? And it's wild. It's like, hey guys, like you said, they're both adults. Let them together make this decision. And the great thing about this, which people aren't understanding, is it's impossible for this to be a one night stand. She gonna wake up and he gonna wake up and they still gonna be stuck on a beach together. It's not like he can't call her or nothing. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like for not even that matters, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like even if it was a one night stand, there's this stigma around where men could hook up and it's not a big deal, but if women do it, she's a whore or she's a slut, which is just
doesn't have standards, doesn't value herself. Like,
yeah, it's just ridiculous. We're all people. We're all. Like,
but then there's that other level, I think, of like where women feel, I think that women would potentially go off of the sexual energy that they are feeling, right? And they don't a lot of times in the real world because they feel like, oh, he's going to think of me of this. He's going to think of me of that. He might not call me again, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And if they didn't feel that, then they would probably go off of those feelings. And I'm also saying that there was a level of security clearly that she felt in her relationship with him that, you know, we're going to do this and we both want to do this. And this is, and, you know, not to talk about all the happenings of what happens in the world, but they take consent very seriously on this show. And I think that people need to understand that Marissa and Riley, we all were very happy for them the next day.
But like all at the same time, like, I mean, this entire concept, okay, of we are on the show to find love, to find a person, okay, we're dating around. You're watching multiple people make out with each other and like, that it's going to be okay to your standards, but like so what? So on a second date, it's okay to go to the boom boom room? Like to what point is it going to be okay to the people of the internet's standards? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's never going to be okay to everybody. Someone's always going to have a problem with something, and people were raised different and have different values and different beliefs. But the truth is, we just shouldn't judge people and let them do what makes them happy.
Can people just live?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's very simple. And it's like,
I am so sick of it. Like, let them do what the hell they want to do.
If and Marissa's a sweet girl, and she's she's a grown up and she's having fun. So I don't know. I mean, good for her. I'm happy for her.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm happy for her too. And I think that I'm sure that's something that they both, you know, I saw that Riley posted, you know, in her defense or whatever, talking about the double standard, how basically he's not getting this type of hate. You know what I mean? Like he's not getting this so bad, how she is. So we love both of them, and Riley is such a joy. So is Marissa, and I'm very glad that she stuck up for herself. People Magazine picked it up as well, and that she stood up for herself. She made her little video and wrote something about it, and kind of just empowering women to be open with their sexuality and not be afraid, and don't let the people, the naysayers, say anything about it. I know Marissa had a great time in that boom boom room. I heard all about it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Look, I don't even want to bring like this kind of stuff up, but I think at one point, you know, in Bachelor Nation, we have had someone, you know, have sex on the show and say like, I've had sex and Jesus still loves me. And it was actually appreciated, and it was actually empowered, and it was actually this thing that, you know, people kind of stood by and like, you know what? You are so yourself. This is so strong of you to embrace that. Like, go do you. And it's what Marissa's doing. Yeah. So it's just because someone's not doing something that you're comfortable with doesn't mean that it's wrong. She's still a very sweet girl, a very smart girl, a very valued girl. She's just following her heart and doing what she wants to do. She's living her freaking life. So,
and she is loved.
Let people live.
Who's to say this isn't the start of a great love story? Like,
Yep.
Yeah, back up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Stop judging.
The sad thing is it's not just Marissa getting the hate. It's all the girls who have either kissed multiple guys or, you know, Demi also went to the boom boom room. Now she's receiving hate. But it's just like, yes, like sex is a beautiful thing. Being sex positive, I don't know why we wouldn't. And yeah, it doesn't really make sense that the women are the ones that get shamed and the men don't. And yeah,
even saying sex positive, is that a word that people use to even describe men? Oh, he's sex positive.
I actually never thought about that.
Like, huh? It's like, what? It's like, we don't use that word to describe a man ever because
That's
it's
a very
just
interesting
okay
concept.
because men are just.
Because all men are sex positive. They're all for sex. But everybody is.
And then everyone excuses a man. They're like, well, he's a man. Of course he wants it.
And that's where the narrative, look, it's 2021, y'all. That's where the narrative got to change. Sex positivity is across all boards.
And again, this is coming from a woman that also waited till marriage. So all I am saying is do not judge. Do what is right for you. Just because somebody else feels like they want to take place in doing something does not give you the right to judge them and to shame them. Yeah. So moving on. So if you have been watching Paradise, that's not the only thing that's been heating up. We also have some familiar faces that have returned to the beach that, well, I don't think we would have ever expected. And so we actually, for the first time, have had a Bachelorette return to the franchise in a different way. And she is Becca Kufrin returning to Bachelor in Paradise. And she is living her best freaking life, if you ask me.
Yeah, I was. When Becca walked down, I think everybody was shocked. She looked great. And you know, it was for me, it was very comforting to see her because I get to see somebody that's kind of also going back, and she's really, you know, she was the lead and was engaged, which there's rumors that I was engaged as well to Kendall, which is not true. We dated, we lived together, but we were never engaged. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, to see Becca not be, because it's intimidating to go back. And it's also in our world, I think a lot of people look at it like, oh, she was the Bachelorette. Now she's taking a step back by going to Paradise. But really, in my opinion, it's a step forward. And I think she took a risk. And yeah, I applaud her for it. And I was very happy to see her. Even though they cut out our hello, which I don't know why they keep cutting out all my hellos on the fucking show. It's like
they cut mine out
so
too.
hell bent on these hellos.
Because I had a great hello with Becca and I had a nice hello with Tia, and they're both worn in there.
Well, I basically almost tackled her when I saw her because I was so excited to see her. So I guess that's why I didn't leave mine in. But I mean, people know that Becca and I are really good friends, and I was really happy to see her too. And yeah, I also saw people saying like it's a step back and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you are in the pursuit of love, if you are in the pursuit of finding someone, and the truth is she fell in love the first time, she fell in love the second time. And I just feel like this franchise and these shows, they really do work for certain people. And if, you know, it didn't work out, and no one can assume that the person you fall in love with, it's not going to work out. No one can know that. Of course, you have to live on life and figure that out. But when I saw her do this again, I mean, it's tough to put yourself out there on TV, right? It's tough. Mm-hmm. So I was just very proud of her. I was really happy that she made the decision, and I was also just happy to have like a bestie on the beach with me too. Really excited about that.
It's always comforting to have somebody that you actually like know and can trust and can just like go through this with you, because it's a really tough. Like, Paradise is hard.
Mm-hmm. Paradise is rough.
Yes,
and people think that, you know, I mean, they watch it for entertainment value, but like, again, real people, real lives actually do have some sort of vulnerability going into it, trying to really find somebody. And it really is, it's a dumpster fire, but it's
well, really so when Becca walked in,
Mm-hmm.
And like after like she was in the room for whatever 30 minutes, I saw it in her face, the same thing I was going through the first day, which was, what the fuck did I just do? Like, and now I'm here. Like, there's no backing out. And I kind of looked at her. I was like, you're freaking out right now. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, just give it a few days. Give it a few days. And you get it, Tayshia, because I mean, you were on 3 shows as well. And it's like, when you go back, because like once you're out of it, you forget. You push a lot of it to the side. Like you forget like talking about your feelings and getting deep and being vulnerable. And then once you just the first day you're back, it hits you like boom.
Oh yeah. No, right? It's a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling at first because it's not natural to be kind of cut off from the rest of the world, but also like be in your feels 24/7.
Yeah.
And it really does it takes a lot of you to be present and to be in that headspace. But she wasn't the only one that came to the beach. We have another familiar face. We have Kendall, which is Joe's ex-girlfriend. We have
ex-fiance.
Stop, you made me,
Joe.
I thought I messed up for a second.
Stop,
Don't say
Joe.
that. She's not your
Don't get people even more confused.
I will say it again. Yes, we were never engaged. But yeah, no, she comes down.
And then we have Tia Booth, who actually has been on The Bachelor and on Paradise before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was it like seeing Tia come down those stairs? Did you guys expect her to come down?
I didn't expect to see Tia, but Tia was good. Tia's one of those people that just she has one of those personalities where she's just down to do whatever, and she doesn't really get phased. Like, she was a little flustered.
Yeah.
But that's just her personality. And what's nice about people that have gone through the experience and going on the shows, you can just tell they come down and they're themselves because they're used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, there's something about that.
Are you trying to say that other people came down on the beach and weren't themselves, Joe?
It's being genuine. No, I think it's about.
I'm all slipping my tail. I'm like, tell me more. I'm really excited for this one.
No, I think it's about being comfortable.
Being comfortable. Well,
and like my first time on the show, like I was myself, but there's so much more going into it because I don't know what's happening. I don't know how I should act. I'm worried about so many different things that could happen. But once you go through it, you kind of like let your guard down and you just like don't really care.
Yeah, I will say that still though, for myself personally, the just being in that bubble and not having all of my extra things that I have in real life, like all my tools that I need, it really, after a certain point, it gets to you, it totally gets to you. And Tia, the great thing about Tia was, in the difference too, like Becca came in a high stress situation. She came in a rose ceremony, and those rose ceremonies they're stressful for the guys, they're stressful for the girls, they're stressful for everybody, no matter who has the rose or not, right? It's just so much is going on. So she came in high stress level. Tia came in date card. She gets to take someone on a date, which, I mean, of course you want to pick the right person and all those different things. So she came in like, I got a date card. I'm going on a date today. And I think that that's empowering in itself too. So she definitely seemed nervous, but I loved her date. I loved her date so much. So funny. I laughed the entire time. It was hilarious.
Yeah, naked volley is like strip volleyball, right? Yeah.
And hopefully, maybe we can do like a crossover or something, because Tia is hosting with Becca on Happy Hour, and we just had Becca on last week for a quick call. Hopefully, we can get them on and actually talk about their Paradise experience.
Yeah.
Well, it's really fun having two people. Well, even for us, like for me, should I say, even for me, it's really fun having both of you guys giving me insider intake from Bachelor in Paradise. And so I'm sure that Bachelor Happy Hour, they are spilling all the tea over there too. So definitely tune into their podcast and get their take on what was going on as two people coming in the middle of the season and joining the crazy cast and the crazy crew down there. Who else is coming in late?
I will say this: when Kendall did walk in, you know, we see it at the end of the episode. That
Wait, I actually do want to ask you a lot of questions about this. Yes.
Okay.
Keep going.
So when I had an idea, like obviously you have an idea that she's possibly going to come. You don't know when or what, but when we truly all thought we were waiting for our host at that moment because two girls already came in, Becca and Tia. Right. So we really thought we were waiting for our host, and I was laying on the daybed next to Serena and Demi, and we were having the most mindless conversation about my arms, and I'm like, look at how beautiful my arms are. And we were all delusional, and next thing I know, I hear Demi go, oh, she either said, oh, fuck, or oh, shit. And I look up, and Kendall is in my face, and I'm like, all right.
No.
Yeah, that's how it happened. I swear on my life, I would never make this up. I was truly shocked in the moment. I was shocked.
Did your stomach drop? Like what'd you feel like? Oh shit! Like with Serena right next to you? Like how? Like
yeah.
No, I mean I think I was just like it was more like, okay, I guess we're gonna have to have this conversation.
Oh my god!
Which we broke up a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago, we had all those conversations, and we had hung out a few times after we broke up to see if we could potentially rekindle anything. And it just wasn't there. But yeah, you got to stay tuned in to.
I will say,
how it goes down.
When she walked down on that beach, my heart dropped for you. It did.
Yes.
It literally dropped because I saw her before you did, of course, and I'm like. I almost wanted to be like, Joe's over there, but I was like, I can't lie, so I guess he's over here. Like, I wanted to be like, oh, he left. He's in the ocean. I don't know. Go in there. Go find him.
He's in the ocean. He swam out about 4 hours ago, hasn't come back, so.
My heart dropped for you. It really did. And yeah, you got to stay tuned. And yeah, another person comes in, and it's funny how you say that you kind of like thought maybe it could happen, and you just didn't know when. My naive ass was like, oh no, there's no way. I trust the person who's telling me all this bullshit. Yeah, didn't think Piper was gonna come at all. Didn't.
Oh Lord, you guys.
But y'all gotta stay tuned.
This show is crazy. Like each week you think like, okay, we've reached the climax, we've capped out on the craziness, and just keeps coming. It just literally keeps coming. We have a lot to look forward to next week. I can't even imagine the conversations that are going to go down.
Next week is
going to tune in.
Next week is going to be awful.
Yeah.
Tayshia. It's going to be awful.
You're
I'm already
stressed.
It's going to be Natasha and Joe on that beach going through it. Let's get into our clickbait. Shading our exes. Shading our exes. Tayshia, you might get a chance to. You just might.
Okay.
Oh, so shading our exes, guys. This clickbait is about the Kardashians of anything. Kourtney, we'll round it out, but basically Kourtney Kardashian has been having the time of her life with her new bae, Travis. And they are giving us life. They are giving us Italy vibes. Apparently, he was always afraid to fly, and he's like never really been anywhere. And now she got him over this fear, and now they're everywhere. And the PDA is on 1,000. And her baby daddy ain't happy about it. Look, Scott not happy about it. And he decided to DM an ex of hers and basically try to, I don't know, talk about her to the ex and kind of join forces and say to the ex, yo, what is she doing? Has she lost her mind? What is this in the middle of Italy? Like, he acts like they're in the middle of their kids' playground or something, like in their school grounds. Like, she's on vacation with her man having a good time, and he didn't like it. A lot of people thought maybe that it was fabricated, that it was not true. Scott has yet to say anything about it.
I mean, what does he possibly have to say? I think he said it all.
Yeah, he doesn't. So he hasn't said that it's not true or anything like that. So, I mean, we're going to assume that it's true. And Kourtney Courtney is just like, hey, I'm just living my life. So what do you guys think about that? Have you ever shaded an ex? And do you think that it was okay for the other guy to release this message?
Okay. So shaded an ex. If we're going to be real, I'm pretty sure at some point we have all said like, oh, now he's with this girl. Now,
Yeah, I think it's easy. The easy thing.
She's with him.
Easy.
Like,
it's very easy to shade an ex. Yeah.
Right.
It's like
I think at one point, as much as we would like to all be like kind of like moved on and like be the better person, be the bigger person and never say anything, I'm sure at some point we have all somewhat shaded an ex. However, this is going
fair
above and beyond. This is deliberately reaching out to another one of your ex-girlfriend's exes, which is obnoxious to me. Never in my wildest dreams would I think of DMing my ex's ex-girlfriend. Like, that sounds so wild to me.
Well, it also sounds like it also sounds like if you're going that far, then you're probably not over that person. Right?
Well, clearly. Yeah. I mean, they're really in each other's lives, but you're clearly not over that person. And you're looking for like some type of comfort.
Or you're just jealous of what they have, right? It's like maybe they know that they can't be together, but like, you jealous though.
Yeah. I mean, it shows. Like everybody reads right through that. I mean, it's obvious that it's jealousy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to shade an ex. I think the hard thing is being happy that your ex is happy if you're not happy.
Boom. If you're not happy, boom. Yeah. That's what. Go ahead.
No, I think that's what it is.
Well, so the other thing is, so I know earlier you were talking about you've never shaded an ex publicly, and so the truth is like it's not that Scott went to a news outlet and said this. He said this in a private DM, and the other guy released it. So it's
that's
not
true too.
So it's not like he did it publicly, right? So that's the other thing that I want to say. It sucks, and I think the guy who released it, we didn't need that either. I could see him screenshotting this and sending it to Courtney and being like, "Yo, keep me out of this. Go get your mans." You know what I mean? Like, what? I don't have nothing to do with this. But he made it this big thing and this public thing when he released the text messages or the DMs between the two of them, which I don't necessarily agree with. But sometimes if you want somebody off your back, I'm sure Scott will never DM him again.
Or anybody. I think the Lord is, by the Lord, I mean Lord with you, Scott Disick, will not be speaking no sweet nothings to nobody no more.
Yeah, definitely. But I have definitely shaded an ex before, but also I'll say that in this case, it's a very different thing. But I think when you break up with someone, you start to see certain qualities in them that you didn't like. And I'm like, weren't you and her all over each other like that at one point, Scott? And you didn't have a problem with it then, right?
Yeah.
So he's unhappy. Being happy for someone that you have dated for a while, knowing that you're not with them anymore, I think that takes a very big level of maturity that our boy Scott just hasn't got there.
Well, I think it's with all haters and shit talking, and we could even bring it back to the case with Marissa and all the girls on the show. Usually people that are talking shit are usually not happy. Like, you don't see it's never the people that are happy in their lives or are having
they don't have time for that. Sorry.
Yeah, those, and it's so, I mean, that's what the big issue is.
Yeah, and I also want to clarify there's a difference between let's define shading your ex. This message was definitely shading your ex. It's a difference between sharing your feelings about how someone that you used to date treated you or did to you and shading someone, right? By saying like, "Can you believe this? Oh my God. What's she doing?" That's a completely different thing than if the message said something like, it really makes me upset that she is out doing things like this when I still want to be with her. Or something like that, right? Like okay, that's a different thing, because then it wouldn't be shading. It would be you sharing your feelings, but he's not doing that.
But here's the thing. Also, to go back to your point, if I texted Tayshia talking shit about my ex, Tayshia and I are friends. I don't expect that to go anywhere. Maybe that's just how I'm going to vent. And I need to get it off my chest.
Totally.
So, I don't think the other guy should have released him if it was a private message.
I agree. And that's why I brought that up. But also, they're not friends, though.
But yeah, he just said, I ain't your bro.
Yeah.
And honestly, his message says, doesn't matter to me as long as she's happy. Which I think he was just trying to prove a point. Like, I don't know. It's a problem to release messages. I understand that. But he was just trying to be like, shut up. If you really were happy for her, if you really actually love her and care about her, why are you talking shit about her? Also, aren't you in a relationship?
Maybe you should go worry about your girlfriend that you currently have and not worry about your ex.
Sorry. I just have issues with that.
I know someone who has dated I know someone who's divorced, who's dated a bunch of people, and I talked to his ex-wife, and she's always just like, I don't care. Look, I will, because she's always like, I don't want to meet anyone that he's dating, because she knows that it's just a fling, and right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he knows. This is real. I think he knows that whatever's going on with Courtney and Travis is real, and he can't take it. If she was dating some 18-year-old guy who's cool and hot TikTok boy, he wouldn't care. He wouldn't care at all. But Travis is daddy, honey. He worried.
I think we've all been there in both situations. But,
yes.
At the end of the day, you could always throw a cake in the fire. And that's what our guest just did this week. So excited that she's on the podcast. Please, everybody, welcome Mari to the podcast. All right. So basically, because I think a lot of people are curious about this. Kenny, it seemed like Kenny wanted to be exclusive, and then you were like, it's early. I don't know if I want to be. And then when he did go off with Demi, it seemed like you instantly regretted it. Is that true?
Not necessarily. So yes, okay. Kenny did want to be exclusive with me. And initially we had a conversation about that, about not going on dates with other people. It wasn't shown. And then after sleeping on it a little bit, after getting some opinions, advice, I talked to Wells a little bit, and I asked him, when do couples usually start to become more exclusive? And he said, not until week 3 or 4 usually. And at this point, we're just before the second rose ceremony. So it was very early on. And so I went back and I told him, listen, I feel like it's early on. I care about you. I have feelings for you. I really like where this is going. However, I feel like it's still too early to cut it off and to say, this is it. We're not going to go on dates with other people, because my whole point for going to Paradise was to find the person that I'm supposed to be with. And my thought process at the time was, yes, this is great and I really like it, but I don't want to leave with regrets. So how do I know if Kenny is supposed to be, the person that I end up with if I don't explore and see what else is around? Because you can't just close yourself off immediately, because then something that is meant for you could pass you by.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. And I don't disagree with that logic. I think a lot of people go into Paradise doing that. And that's what makes the show quite entertaining. But I want to ask you, so if you did really like Kenny, why not just risk it right there and say, you know what, maybe I'm not doing Paradise the right way, but I'm following my heart in the corniest, cheesiest way I can say it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, for me, I never in anything that I do want to have regrets or look back and say, man, I should have tried this, or man, I should have done this. Because ultimately, if Kenny and I had left together and I had those questions in my head, that wouldn't have been a healthy thing for our relationship if that were the case. So I felt at the time that, yes, while this is great and I would be happy to potentially lock it down right then. I didn't want to be in a position where later on I was looking back and having doubts.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, it's fair. I don't disagree with what you did. I just want to question it, basically.
So watching it, it's funny. So my sister called me about, my sister's of course very invested. She's watching. She asked me a question, and being there versus her as a viewer, it was very interesting to hear her thought process, right? So I don't think she understood that, like, so most of the guys, I feel like a lot of the guys that came in, they pulled you to talk, right? Right? Like pretty much all of them, right?
Yeah, literally every single.
At that point, when you and Kenny had that talk, at that point, pretty much every guy had pulled you. They pull multiple people, they talk, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they took other people on the dates. But because my sister was saying, watching it, it felt premature. It was like, she asked me, was there someone else that Mari was really into on the beach? And I was like, I don't think so. So that's my question. Was it someone that prompted this conversation, or were you just in general open in general, and or you're like, well, Joe's on the beach, I might want to get to know him, or something like that. Was that happening?
Yeah, I could see that being the case, but go ahead. No, joking.
No, Joe was already locked down at the time, so I wasn't even going to mess with that. No. But no, I mean, it was just a general thing. There wasn't anyone in particular that I was like waiting for or hoping would come down and take me on a date or anything. It was just more about being open in general to the experience. And I even told Kenny at the time, like, I might not even get asked on a date. It wasn't about, specifically wanting to go with a specific person or anything. It was just like, if this happens, I wanted to get ahead of it and be upfront and honest and say, if I'm asked, I would like to go, because right now I feel like it's very early on and I don't want to close myself off yet.
Okay.
So if you could do this conversation again, would you have it the same way, or what would you change?
Yeah. Okay. Up until you throw the cake in the fire, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently up until that point? And then we'll get into the cake in the fire, because
Yeah, I mean, not that I regret anything, but I do now, looking back, see that ultimately I kind of shot myself in the foot, and everything that happened as a result was because of the conversation that I decided to have with Kenny. And so if I could go back and redo things, I probably wouldn't have had that conversation before anything even happened. I was trying to be proactive. Ultimately, that didn't work out in my favor. So I think, if it were to come around again, I would wait until I was actually asked on a date to cross that bridge when I got to it.
Right.
I disagree with that. I think what you did is actually the right move. The better, I think you're coming from a much better place by just being honest and doing it then, opposed to waiting for a guy that walks down and then you're almost like blindsiding him with it, where I actually think what you did was the harder thing to do. So I respect it.
I definitely think it was the harder thing to do, but she could have been asked on a date with someone that you didn't even want to go on the date with, right? Like, so it's like, oh, such and such pulls you and they ask you on the date and you don't even want to go on the date with them, right? So I do think, I love your hindsight thought process, and I do agree with Joe. It was definitely harder to have that conversation and let him know. If you were just being honest, hey, I don't want you to think that I'm all in, because if someone asks me on a date, she going. She might be, right?
Yeah, that was the whole point. And then the other thing was that, even if I had gone on a date, for example, who's to say that it would have gone well? And I'll use Serena P as an example. She went on a date with Thomas, and it was someone that she seemed into at first, and then ultimately it didn't work out. And so that was kind of my thought process too. Is like, just because I go on a date doesn't mean it's going to end up well, doesn't mean that I'm going to abandon what I had with Kenny, because that wasn't the point.
Yeah.
But it's also tough to see someone that you're trying to form a relationship with go on that date. And it's tough to know, hey, if they do go on this date, ultimately they could decide you know what, I am that better person. And wouldn't you want that reassurance anyway? It's a tough position to be in because it's blatantly in front of you. So I understand that concept of, well, no, I'm actually going to make sure I do want to be with you because, well, I want a relationship that I'm not second guessing. You know what I mean? So I think that your approach was great. I mean, it doesn't feel good to hear, but at the same time, I feel like you have to do that in order to, I don't know, really want to invest in a relationship. Otherwise, it's just going to be a freaking summer fling. You know what I mean? And you're going to constantly be worried about that. Right. And then it kind of flipped around and was kind of blatantly putting in front of you watching Kenny with other women.
Yeah.
So let's dive into that and talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, people have asked me like, well, what did you think, he was supposed to do? Just sit on his hands while you were going on dates with people? And of course not. No, I didn't expect him to just sit back and take it or just watch it. However, I do think that there is a very clear distinction between going on a date with someone, if you're invited on an official date card away from the beach, and making out and flaunting something in front of another person on the beach. So my thought process in that moment was like, if I'm on a date with someone and if he could go too, absolutely. We're not seeing each other interact with other people versus pursuing people on the beach, which is what ended up happening with him and Demi. But
to stop you there though, that is also, it's hard to control that. Like, then you guys would have had to have that conversation of like, okay, we're going to respect each other and not do it in front of each other, but we're all in such close proximity. We're living on that beach together. It would have been difficult for Kenny to hide that.
So we're also making a show at the same time, so you have to kind of know that that's going to be a reality. Totally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it seems like too, watching it, being out of it and watching it, it seemed like Kenny felt like you were breaking up, and that's why he went and did what he did. And you were like, I don't want to break up. I just want you to know where I am today, August 30th, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just want you to know where I am today, right now, in this moment. And this is how I feel. I still want to continue this with you. I still want to go hang out at the pool and get mimosas and do the whole thing. But, and that's where the disconnect happened, because it was like, you breaking up with me, I'm going to go play. And you're like, no, but right? That's what it seemed like to me.
Absolutely. That was 100% the entire conversation that I understood and had, was saying, obviously, we know that what we have is good. We like each other. And I want to continue nurturing that. However, it's early. And if I were to get asked on a date, I would go. It had nothing to do with wanting to end our relationship or not liking him anymore. Obviously, I had very strong feelings right from the start. And it just overwhelmed me to the point where I was like, all right, I need to see my other options first, because it was scary. I'm not used to that,
Scary. Oh.
I understand where both of you were coming from.
Same.
I don't know if both of you did the right thing. I mean, who knows? But I get where both of you were coming from. But let's go to the because everybody wants to know the cake in the fire, right?
Mm-hmm,
why did you throw the cake in the fire? Because the cake looked good.
I think Riley about to come on this podcast real quick and talk about how much you...
Seriously, he has some feelings.
I'm about to call Riley right now and be like, I got her here. I got her.
And like we have an excess of guacamole, tacos, chicken, but sweets and desserts and cakes don't come very often in paradise. So when you throw one in a fire, you're not just pissing off the person whose cake it is, you're pissing off everyone that gets a slice. So, let's get a little breakdown.
All right, so the cake. Well, to be frank, the cake wasn't me reacting to Kenny doing what he was doing, because I can't be mad. He's doing his thing. Sure, I was upset that it was right in front of me. Obviously, I did not like that, and I felt like that was very disrespectful. But to be honest, that whole entire thing was me being angry at Demi.
Okay.
She brought the cake down. She and I had an extensive conversation. Obviously, only part of it was shown. We had an extensive conversation about my feelings towards Kenny and how difficult the situation was and how much I cared about him, how much I wanted to be with him at the time. And she immediately turned around and went straight for him. So that was why I was so upset at the cake. And here's some tea. That was actually my idea. That is why I was pissed off at the cake.
Okay, break that down. What was your idea? Because it was Kenny's birthday.
Correct.
Break that down.
So Kenny's 40th birthday, we were quarantining before we started filming, and he spent it there. And I came up with the idea because I knew it was his birthday. I want to do a birthday party. I want to do a cake. I want to do something special for him for his birthday. Now, whether or not Demi knew this is obviously there's production involved in that element, but the whole thing was my idea. And so to see her come down with the cake and to do this whole birthday celebration that I wanted to do and that I was planning to do, that is what set me over the edge. And that's what said, all right, this cake in the fire.
Wow. Okay. That breaks it down a little bit more.
Yeah,
And now I can understand that.
Yeah.
I'd probably do the same damn thing. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, I'm saying, like, people think I was just being like crazy and rageful and like just throwing things and throwing a tantrum for no reason. Yeah, in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have thrown the cake, but it's just, that's where that was coming from. I was angry at Demi because of, one, me confiding in her and trusting in her. And we had spent a lot of time together, actually. We were in that Chi room together. There were only 4 girls together in that room, me, Demi, Deandra, and Marissa at the time. So we spent a lot more time together, just us, versus being in the bigger room with all of the other women. And so over that time, we got really close. It was only a few days, but she was calling us family and saying this and that. And so I felt extremely betrayed. And then to see her take my idea, that's what, set it over the edge. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to let her take this from me. She already took my man. She's not going to take my idea. And it sucked for me too, because believe me, I have the biggest sweet tooth and I love cake. So it's hard.
Did you taste it just a little bit before you threw it in?
A little finger and lick that frosting at least.
I will say that is a price you pay dating someone on the beach that is as good looking as Kenny. All the good looking guys on the beach, it was, everyone on the beach was good looking, but there were a few that a lot of people were kind of gunning after. And so I feel like, having conversations with people, that's why I really didn't say much and couldn't say much about what was going on in my situation at all to anyone. I was like, so, but in Paradise, I think it's something that, and I would say the same thing about Serena, actually, Joe. Like, Serena would talk to me because she knows that we're friends, but I don't think Serena really opened up about her relationship that much either, and being there just, I just want to say that you have every right to feel how you were feeling because emotions are just so heightened, regardless of having that conversation. You were like, I can't be mad. Of course you can be mad. Of course you still can, and the result of it and all that happens, and you guys got to watch and see what goes on because it gets wild. And watching it back, like you said, it's tough. What did you think when you saw Kenny and Tia's date?
I was laughing the whole time. I think Kenny and Tia's date was just really fun and quirky. And it was just cute how she was so awkward and uncomfortable in the beginning. But no, I think they actually look really cute together. I was like, dang, they good. I see it.
if Mari was on this date, would she have taken off her bottoms?
Oh, yeah. Labia out.
Yes.
By the way, Tia kept calling it a China pod, but I've never heard that terminology used for a vagina.
Really?
A China pod?
A China pot, not pod. But yeah.
A China pot?
Like special, like a special only reserved for special occasions.
China pod.
Like I get it. I've just never heard that.
Okay.
Yeah.
China pot, like your China pot, like it's very delicate. It can, it's a China pot. It's very.
I think every girl
China
have a
pot? Okay.
Every girl calls it something, right? Right.
There's a lot of names for it.
Yeah, I call it my good girl. My good girl would have been all over that beach. Oh, because it's black box.
My good girl.
You know what I mean? Black box. You wouldn't have seen anything, Tia. It's fine.
All right. So Mari, what are
Joe desperately changes on the subject.
Let's get off this.
Wait. I have another question. Wait. What did you think when we were in that room? We were in, we're going to spill some tea for our listeners here. We were in a big bonfire circle and multiple guys said that if they could have sex with anyone on that beach, it would be you. What did you think about that? What was going through your head? Oh yeah, and a girl. Yeah. Did I say that? I might have said that too. I might have said Mari too. I think so. I think so.
I mean, I felt special. I was like, damn, all right, all these people are into me. But at the same time, I was like, okay, so why aren't all these people coming and trying to talk to me?
Yeah, you guys talk a lot of game.
Bing, bing, bing.
No, but it was nice. I was like, dang, I feel desired. I feel wanted. It's nice.
In Kenny's face. I saw your face. I was like, uh-huh.
No, well, I'm surprised that he said my name, actually, because at that time, obviously, he was with Demi, and he and I guess, were over in his eyes. And so for him to have said me, I was like, oh, shit, okay. And that kind of gave me a little bit of, all right, maybe there's still some hope. Maybe we can repair things. Maybe I can undo the damage that I have caused.
And y'all gonna have to wait and see if that happens or not.
So you were for sure, you were at that point thinking that you and Kenny were for sure done, like it was done, and we're not revisiting that.
Well, in his mind, that's what was going on. And
but did you think that? No.
I didn't think at that time because, and here's another thing that wasn't shown. They showed me saying it to him, but not him saying it to me, where we had our conversation that night and he was like, okay, we're done for now, and we will revisit, were his exact words. Oh. And I asked him, I was like, okay, revisit when? Like, tomorrow, a couple days? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. We could talk tomorrow. We could talk later tonight. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. And so to me, that was leaving the door open. And so when at the rose ceremony, he decided to make an announcement that we were done, I was like, what the hell? You just told me we were going to tomorrow. Like, what is this?
I will say I had a conversation with Kenny after that. I said, Kenny, what's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Yeah, literally. I can't stand by that one.
I was like, Kenny, what? He was like, what? Everybody was talking about it. I just wanted everybody to know. I said, don't do that again. Don't do it again.
Oh, I don't know. I think you guys are being a little too harsh on him on that one. I'm not totally.
I'm just telling you what happened. So
you made an announcement.
What?
You would have made an announcement.
You make an announcement, Joe?
No, I
wouldn't let him.
No, I wouldn't have. But I would have probably. I mean, Kenny and I are different people, so I would have handled that situation different than he did. But I don't know exactly what I would have done. I mean, I got in a fight last time I was in Paradise before, so who knows? Well, okay, so right now in the show, what are you looking for in Paradise at this point?
So I came to Paradise, with an open mind. I had a couple guys that I was interested in who I knew might be there and I wanted to meet. Obviously, Kenny was one of those, probably top of the list at that time. And me and Kenny hit it off right away. That kind of in a rocky spot right now. And so right now I'm just thinking, all right, well, if this isn't going to work out, I still am here to see what else could be for me. And I want to explore that and see what could happen. But at the same time, there's another part of me that's like, I still really like this guy. I have very strong feelings for him. And I kind of am hoping that maybe it'll resolve. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I guess you guys are going to have to wait and see what happens with Mari.
And you give your rose to James.
Yes.
Thought process behind that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was hard because something that, again, wasn't shown. Ivan and I actually really connected a little bit. And we spent a good part of one of the first couple days together, just kind of talking, getting to know each other. And it was great. Ivan's a really nice guy, super sweet, has a lot of great qualities that I would look for in a partner. And ultimately, he and Jasenia were just much stronger and they were a thing. And I was like, all right, cool. He's with Jasenia. I'm kind of with Kenny right now. And then ultimately, Jasenia went on that date with Chris. And while she was gone, Ivan kind of came back around and tried to woo me a little bit. And at that point, I kind of felt like, no, you're coming back as a second option, as a safety option, because the woman that you've been paired with is now on a date with someone else that she likes. And I didn't like that. I was like, I don't want to feel like a backup, So, yeah, exactly. So that's why I didn't feel comfortable giving my rose to Ivan at that time. I talked to Connor, I talked to James, I talked to pretty much everyone who was kind of up in the air that night. And ultimately, I decided to give my rose to James just because he's a great guy. I mean, he's good looking, great qualities, very funny. And we had a
so funny,
right? We had a really good introductory conversation, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about him. And ultimately, if it went in a romantic direction, that was cool. It's not necessarily my motive at the time. But if it didn't end up going in that direction, at least I know that my rose was going to someone who was genuine and deserved to be there and find his person.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love that. Okay, guys. Should we get into the game? Wait, do you guys have more questions? One more question?
No, I think we can. Let's jump into the game. If, Mari, before we jump into the game, if you could describe Paradise in one word this season.
Oh, geez. Oh, man. I hate to say dumpster fire, but that seems to be the running theme around here.
All right.
Dumpster fire. There it is, guys. There it is. I feel like we need to put a compilation because we've been asking all of our guests that's been on the beach that same question. I feel like we need a compilation of what everyone's saying.
Do it. Like rapid fire, everyone's answers.
Rapid fire.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of rapid fire, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a rapid fire game with you called Roll the Paradise with Mari.
Ooh.
And basically, first thing that comes to mind, I'll set it up for you, and then you just boom, boom, say which one you think, okay? Now that you're a pro at both, would you, if you had to pick one, is it cake or a fire pit?
Oh, cake. Cake.
Okay, good.
I'm eating that cake.
Cake. Us too. I think Riley too.
Oh, I know. I got to make it up.
Romance or drama?
Romance.
The Bachelor or Bachelor in Paradise?
Paradise.
Go on a date or hang at the beach?
Go on a date.
Tequila shot or a margarita?
Ooh, tequila shot.
Keep your options open or go for one person?
See, initially I would say keep your options open, but after my experience, maybe go for one person, risk it.
Mm-hmm. Guacamole or salsa?
Guac.
Bikini or one piece?
Bikini.
Get back with an ex or explore new options?
That's complicated.
Very complicated for you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, seriously. Who knows? All right, let me see. Back with the next or new app.
Before Paradise. How about that? Before Paradise. Before Paradise. Think before Paradise.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Before Paradise, yeah. I would have said explore new options.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, we were on a beach. We had pool. Which would you prefer? A beach or a pool?
Beach. 100%.
Love.
You're not opposed to the sand. I hate the sand. Truthfully, I mean, sand just gets everywhere. Like, why gotta be all over me like that? And literally every crevice I didn't even know I had. So it's just like
everywhere for weeks too. It just doesn't go away. It just
seriously, it's just like
you get your hair, and when you have so much hair, oh my gosh, never ending.
Yeah.
Even showering and washing it out doesn't even take it all out. You have to like multiple washes and just.
All right. Well, Mari, thank you so much for coming on and being honest with us. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yes, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Mari_Pepin, and that's it right now, I think.
Guys, Mari, I'm so happy she came and actually gave us a little bit of the backstory, especially about the cake, because that's stuff that we're not really privy to. And now it makes sense. And honestly, I might have done the same thing. I mean, I don't know about throwing it in the fire pit. I probably would have just taken it to my room and eaten it all. But
I thought it was going in somebody's face. Definitely.
I mean, that too. Or in the ocean, feed the fishies at least.
And I like hearing somebody's thought process throughout it all, and it's, I hate to see people automatically just she's there's a part of her that feels guilty and thinks she's 100% wrong. But, no, I think there's two sides to both stories. And
I think I just have to say this, is being in that bubble messes with your head so much in the sense that you are seeing other couples being like this and being like that. And we saw a little bit of that with Abigail and Noah's story this week. And you guys will see how everything falls forward. But you can't help but to compare yourself in that bubble to the other couples. It's not like real life where you go home and be with babies by yourself and nobody knows what's going on. You are seeing couples doing things, saying things. People are like, wait, Riley and Marissa? What? They went to the boom boom? What? It's like, I want to go to the boom boom room. People, you can't help. People are breaking up. Should I break up? You can't help but to compare yourself. to other people. And I think that her mindset of people coming in, it was just very much validated to the point of her wanting to stay open because she knew that other people were staying open as well. So the bubble will get you, y'all.
Yeah.
Seeing 8 other couples date in front of you, it'll get you.
Well, also, there's just a lot more that goes on that not everybody's privy to, but, you know, whatever. And also, thank you so much, Mari, for coming on the episode today. It was so fun having you and giving us your thought process behind all of your decisions.
Yes, and as always, make sure to subscribe and submit all your burning questions. Check us out on social and like, comment, DM us. You know where to find us at ClickbaitBN on Instagram and Bachelor Nation Pods on Facebook and Twitter.
Share your stories with us. We want to know what clickbait you're getting into this week. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Wondery app, or wherever you guys are listening now. Hit the subscribe button.
And make sure to tune into Paradise this week.